afternoon we are going to look at data management and strategy, and then a little bit about some current trends that you might want to think about in digital marketing. So as on other days, we'll have a break between these two this morning. Then we've got a break in the middle of the day, and then yes, this afternoon. Then tomorrow morning, we are going to. What I'm going to do is to really go through the assessment, show you some more examples of infographics that other students have done. And answer any questions, either about the assessment or about anything that you like, it'll be a bit more of an informal session tomorrow once we've gone through the assessment. So, today, content marketing. The learning outcomes so by the end of this morning's lecture, you should have an understanding of what content marketing is, an insight into some of the benefits, what some effective content marketing might be, an insight into content marketing strategy, and an overview of some of the challenges of content marketing. Ask any questions. The questions that you've been doing so far, they're really reassuring, because the questions that you've been putting in there have really shown that you're really listening and looking at the material and maybe doing some outside reading, which is great. So keep that up. I'll just leave that there for a moment for those who have just come in. Feels even hotter. Feels hotter today than it was yesterday. Okay, so there's a definition of what content marketing is. Content marketing specifically is a strategic marketing approach focused on creating and distributing valuable, relevant, and consistent content to attract and retain a clearly defined audience, and ultimately to drive profitable customer action. So content marketing itself is not advertising. It's so it's useful content. It's relevant content that's adding value for your customers, and will hopefully end up in more sales. But it's sort of not like direct advertising. Buy this, buy this. And the clearly defined audience part of it is very important, because to create effective content marketing, you really need to know what your audience wants. So, and you might direct different types of content marketing to different types of your audience. It is the cornerstone. This is from the textbook. It's the cornerstone of all digital marketing. This is why some of lots of things that we have sort of discussed over the last few days do come under the banner of content marketing. So this is bringing them all together. Content marketing could be words, it could be photos, images, infographics, videos, GIFs, and memes. Do you know that is memes the same word for you? You know what a meme is? Where you've got, I don't know, like a picture with some text, and yeah, it's very shareable. They're all essential elements in digital marketing, and it's critical that organisations understand the strategic role of content. And this is one of the things where, as digital marketers, it might be down to you to convince your organisations that it is worth spending the money, the time, and creating content marketing, because strategically it's very important. But because it doesn't directly necessarily lead to a sale in the same way that a piece of advertising might, you might need to convince your organisation. I'm not going to play this video, but it's there for you. You can watch it in your own time. It's just a very nice, easy explanation of what content marketing is on different sort of platforms. So that's just some extra material for you in your own time. So some of the benefits of content marketing are that you can promote the brand in different areas outside your website or traditional areas. It can increase your brand visibility. So content marketing might be something that's done on a blog, on on social media, on someone else's website, basically other places that other people are, other than them going directly to your website. What's going on here? Lots of talking. Basically, instead of reading a sales pitch, you're creating content that consumers are going to read, and they're not reading it because it's your brand. They're reading it or watching it or listening to it because it's interesting material that happens to involve your brand. And that's how you can increase that brand visibility, because you're reaching people by creating interesting content. You're reaching people that aren't necessarily aware of your brand, so it can increase your brand visibility. But basically, the people reading it, people sharing it, are sharing it or reading it because it's interesting and relevant rather than being a sales pitch. So there are lots of good examples of. There are so many great examples of content marketing. Let's try and play this. The sound isn't that good.
This is his first appointment with me. I am anticipating all the drama, and Fredo did not disappoint me. It didn't take him long to try to escape the bathtub or start screaming at me. Sometimes I wonder if the neighbors think I torture dogs for a living. He kept hugging the corner and turning my water off on me. He put on such a dramatic performance that one would assume I was bathing him in acid. I almost want to give him an Oscar. I tried reasoning with him, but Fredo is more about that rebel life. Clearly, Fredo felt the bathtub was no place for water. So naturally, he stands on the ledge because the floor is a much better place for it. At this point, I know
I want to get further on. Anyway, that video is there.
this is Fredo.
So this is just somebody filming themselves, someone's filming them just doing their job, and it doesn't really matter. Like, for someone watching it, they don't need to know this dog groomer. They don't need to have been there. It's more about something that's very shareable content that shows what a dog groomer does. But people are sharing it because people love to share huskies being dramatic. Stop. Right, there we go. But anyway, this went viral and it's got millions and millions of views. And she, who's a dog groomer in Ontario, Canada, now has 1.5 million followers on YouTube, or probably more by now. Her channel, it just shows stuff like this. It just shows her grooming different dogs, which is part of the daily business. It doesn't really cost anything to create this content, apart from a little bit of time. But it gets her business, her channel, seen by millions of people, which is, for a dog grooming salon, is something that would have been, the opportunity wouldn't have existed even a few years ago. So it provides entertainment for viewers while also showing off her skills as a groomer. Now, obviously, most of those 1.5 million followers that she's got, most of the people who are seeing these videos aren't going to be her actual customers. Unless they live in the specific part of Ontario, Canada that she's in, they're not going to end up sort of going to her business. But it has grown her business, and she's now expanded, and she grooms cats and other pets as well. And it can provide like another income stream. So she puts ads. If she was to put ads on her videos, then she could make extra money from that. But ultimately, what this is content that is created to entertain, that will hopefully end up in some more brand awareness. So when you're measuring success, and we're going to be talking a lot about measuring success in the next lecture, one measure of success is brand awareness, brand visibility. And this content absolutely succeeds in that, because she is getting her brand, her business out to millions of people around the whole world, but it doesn't necessarily translate to customers. So it's about working out what those metrics are, what you want to measure success as. But this is an example of some very quick and cheap content marketing that can ultimately really make your brand more visible. Content marketing can help create backlinks for search engine optimization. So if you if you have, for example, on that YouTube video, she'll have links to her actual business website on that video, which creates a very valuable backlink to her website, because it's from YouTube, and it's from a YouTube channel that's getting lots and lots and lots of views and lots of followers, which is important. But if you've written a blog post on another website that gets a lot of views, so it might be, who knows what sort of piece of content it might be. It might be a how to use your product, it might be a recipe. It's going to create backlinks to the products involved on your website. And the more people share as well those articles, the more links there are back to your website. And all of that is beneficial for your search engine optimization of your website. If you've written something good, they will often be reposted on other websites, and ideally they'll include a link back to your content. If they don't, you can try and find, you can ask for one if they haven't. Or obviously people just share the page. Either way, it works very well for your search engine optimization. So, conversion rate optimization. Actually, I'm just going to go to this one and then back. So, conversion rate optimization is the process of increasing the percentage of conversions from a website or mobile app. It typically involves generating ideas for elements on your site or app that can be improved and then validating it through testing. So it's basically trying to work out what it is that's going to get more conversions on your website and then doing it. And one of the things that content marketing can do is help you increase your conversion rates. So if you create clever content providing help and advice for customers or potential customers, such as buying guides or design ideas where you show your products in stylish contexts, either on someone stylish or in a stylish home, then that can convert people who are browsing into people who are buying. So research does show that consumers are more likely to buy a product they've watched a buying guide for. So for example, in IKEA, very popular around the world, the challenge with IKEA is that you have to put furniture that you buy from them together yourself, and that does put quite a lot of people off. It's one of their selling points, but it can also be a barrier to buying their products. So if customers put off because they don't believe that they've got the skills or the time to put the furniture together, but they watch a video or they read a how-to guide online showing how easy it can be, then that might help them make the decision to buy that product, which is increasing your conversion rate. So it's not like a direct ad for the product, it's just some extra useful content about the product in whatever form that you want to create it in, that's going to give the customers a reason to be sure that the purchase that they're going to make is going to work for them. And they're not going to get it back to their house and not be able to do anything with it. In terms of optimizing, one of the things that you would do, you could try different forms of that content. So you might start off by doing a written how-to guide, because that's a bit easier to do than a video. See how that goes, and then maybe try creating a video format and seeing if that does better, if that leads to more conversions. And that's the optimization process, where you're testing how well each format of that content does. Could we have less talking in that little group, please? So, another benefit of content marketing, which is linked to the brand visibility, is inspiring social shares. So if you have created really vivid and interactive content, or just a video of a husky howling that's very entertaining, anything that's going to get other people sharing your content. So people that aren't, they're not so likely to share a how to put a IKEA furniture video together. People are less likely to share that. That's more about about that conversion rate optimization. But something like the husky video is some content that's going to inspire people to share it on their social media, which is going to increase your brand awareness. Another example of that is Spotify. Do you use Spotify here? I mean, everybody uses different ones, but you use Spotify. So Spotify Wrapped, they do every towards the end of the year. And they put a lot of work into this. This is, every year they put more work into it. So this is some very shareable, please, can we have quiet? Yes, looking at you two, yes. No, behind you. Next time. Okay, so they put a huge amount of resources into their Spotify Wrapped playlist, despite the fact that this is not their core business. Their core business is obviously trying to improve their algorithms to make sure they're playing you music that you want to hear. They're trying to make sure that it's fast, high quality. But this, the Spotify Wrapped, is content marketing. It is where they're creating some very personalized, shareable content that gets lots and lots of people, millions of people, sharing elements of it, as long as they're not embarrassed by their music. What's going on? What's going on, Danny? What's going on? Do you need help? Is it with the slides or? Okay. So has anyone shared this themselves? The Spotify Wrapped? Like, is this something that people in certainly my age range we love to share our Spotify Wrapped. Lots of people, in fact, most of the shares that I see from my friends are people saying my children's music taste has completely ruined their Spotify Wrapped playlist because it's full of children's songs. one of the reasons why this really works as well is it kind of stops people using other, if they use Spotify but also other music playlists, people actually become conscious of it. It's become this, because we know it's going to come around every year, people become very conscious. If I've got if a song comes onto an automated playlist that I think is incredibly uncool, I'm like, no, I need to skip this. I don't want it to appear on my Wrapped at the end of the year. But anyway, so things like that, they can actually change behaviour as well. So this is a really important one for search engine optimization. Content marketing, when you're writing content that's when you're writing sort of long-form blog posts and articles that got lots of text in, that mention your product in different ways, it can really help optimize your website for what we call long-tail keywords. When we're searching for something, we know more and more that if you search for like one word or 2 words, the content you get back might not be relevant. You're going to end up, people used to kind of browse through the Google search results pages, but now pretty much if it's not the first couple of results, we're not going to look at them. So the way that we narrow down those results is by searching for ever more specific terms to make sure that the content that comes back is exactly what we want. And so blog articles, how-to guides, and reviews as well, online reviews, can really build in specific phrases that people are searching for and that are less likely to appear on other websites. So the term, I'll just go to the example that's here rather than trying to make up a new one. So this is an example of like a search for a holiday. So there might be, if you're searching for a holiday in Italy, if you search for Italy holidays, it's going to come back with thousands and thousands of results. And the first ones, they just might not be that relevant because you really need to nail it down more. So then what someone might decide to search for is actually, no, I don't just want a holiday. I don't just want a holiday in Italy. Actually, what I'm looking for is some accommodation in Verona. So that's going to make the, which is a place in Italy, it's going to narrow down the search results a bit more. And then if you decide, actually, I don't want a hotel, what I want is an Airbnb apartment in Verona. So people are going to search for that. So if your content mentions Airbnb apartment Verona, is going to be more likely to come up near the top. And then nailing it down even more to a non-smoking Airbnb apartment in Verona near the Colosseum. Your general page advertising, for example, your Airbnb apartments that you put on the site, that it might not come back with that. But if you've got reviews on your on that page that are talking about how this is a non-smoking apartment near the Colosseum, it's got those words in it. Lots is going on today. Then your content, your apartment, the thing that you're trying to get customers for, is more likely to appear. So this is what we call long tail keywords searches, long tail keywords optimization. It's much easier to get these sorts of long tail keywords into articles that are written or blog posts rather than simple descriptions in on a product page. So Google, at the moment, it's all a bit mysterious what Google does, and it changes all the time. Their algorithm keeps on being refined every day, but they do place a greater reliance on content factors in determining sites' credentials. It's changed from keyword-heavy, electronically spun paragraph to a situation where quality, context, relevancy, the formats, the number of social shares because of the backlinks, the bounce rate, It looks at, because analytics are all tied in, they're all Google as well. It means they can see how well a page performs and how quickly people leave a page. Those are all factors that go into the algorithm. So if you've got a decent piece of content that's written about the experience of staying in this apartment near the Colosseum in Verona, if it's good quality content that people are going to spend time reading, then it's going to rank more highly for those keywords. So there is a correlation between high quality content and strong rankings. So content marketing can generate new customers and also retain consumers. So creative content, as I mentioned, be found by people who weren't previously customers of your brand. And if you're creating interesting content that people actually want to consume, then your current customers might go back to reading your material, watching your videos because they think it's good. So ultimately, you're creating good content, you're giving people a reason to come to your website to buy your service or product. So it doesn't just have to be video or text. Podcasts are a really, really good way to create some creative content for content marketing. And it can be actually quite a very cost-effective way to make content. So in one of the courses I teach back in the UK, our students have a choice in their final year to create a TV documentary, a podcast or radio documentary, or a website or a magazine, a set of magazine articles. I always really try and encourage them to do the radio documentary because actually, when it comes to getting people to talk to you, it's much easier because you don't need them on video. A lot of people don't like to be on video, but they're happy to talk. I do radio, I don't do TV because I don't mind talking, but I don't like to be filmed. So podcasts can be a really good way to tell stories. It's also, if you're telling powerful stories, where you're really trying to evoke emotions, then actually audio content like podcasts can evoke more emotions than video. We sort of tune in more to emotion in audio than we do on video. So this is an example of that, very specifically. The UN Refugee Agency has a podcast called Forced to Flee, which has been award nominated. So it tells refugees unique stories. It gets them telling their stories in their own words for people to listen to. And it really, it's very compelling, and people will listen to it for a variety of reasons that aren't necessarily that they want to see what work the UN Refugee Agency does. But that is why they're producing the content, because what they want to do is to say why their work is important and what they do to help. But that isn't necessarily why people are listening or sharing. Whereas if it's just like a web page just explaining the work the UN Refugee Agency does, people aren't going to share that unless they work for them, frankly. But if there is a compelling story that people have actually found a very good listen, a good way to spend their time, then they're going to share it, and by doing that, the people listening that they shared it to now know about the organisation and what they do. So this isn't all about selling products, services. Whatever you're doing, digital marketing is really, really important for all organisations, for charities, for NGOs, as well as for businesses who are selling products. So storytelling, understanding storytelling, finding those stories to tell. So when you're doing your assessment, whatever brand you choose, and you could choose something like, something like this. It doesn't have to be a brand selling actual products. But even if it is, what you want to do is to think about the different sorts of stories, compelling stories that could be told related to that brand. Whether it's about their customers, so if it was a compelling story about somebody designing their house or someone else's house, it doesn't have to be something that's going to be particularly heart-wrenching. It could, but something that's going to be interesting, something that's going to get people listening and sharing. Then that might be something that you would do in a recommendation on your assessment, for something that the organisation could use to improve their digital marketing campaigns. So, effective content marketing. These are just what you need to do to produce effective content marketing. So, to communicate with your audience, you need to produce relevant content. There's no point producing content that's not relevant. If the UN Refugee Agency was producing content about huskies being cleaned, that wouldn't make any sense at all. So it's about making sure that the content you're creating is actually relevant to your brand or product. So content needs to pull people